Welcome to Three Witches and a Druid podcast, a Canadian podcast about paganism in today's modern society. And now, Three Witches and a Druid podcast presents C.S. MacCath.
She waited until I collapsed upon a briny flow. She said, "Rise to this challenge, girl, or I will leave you here. I am not your summer goddess, I am everything you fear." And as my fingers blackened, told secrets old and grave about the fall of magic, what was lost and what was saved. Her words were liquid silver falling on my weary eyes. They marked my dying body and they mocked my hollow cries as she said, "You are the one they've chosen, but you nowhere else to go. So if you plan to live, there are some things you ought to know. But I am the witch of secrets, and I keep the bitter night. So heed my words, my girl, or you'll be dead by morning light." She read to me from ancient books of mastery and lore, pages brittle as the bones of girls who came before. A keening wind rose up around the ribbons of her gown as she taught me how to summon tides and call the weather down. My eyes were heavy lidded when she whispered in my ear an offering of sweet release from agony and fear. But as her voice beguiled me and my blood began to slow, I called upon a shooting star to rain upon the snow, and she said, "You are the one they've chosen, but you nowhere else to go. So if you plan to live, there are some things you ought to know. But I am the witch of secrets, and I keep the bitter night. So heed my words, my girl, or you'll be dead by morning light." A blaze rose up around us and dissolved her icy mask. She smiled at me with winter's teeth and offered up a flask. She said, drink with me while there is much that you should see. For you have proven yourself worthy to receive these gifts from me. And I said, I am the one they've chosen, and I know where else to go. But since I failed to die, there are some things that I would know. But I serve the witch of secrets, and we keep the bitter night. So lift your face, my queen, and we will greet the morning light. Who are the sleepers, and who is awake? Oh, who of us is ready, and who of us will break? To each of us is given the sorrows of the wise, but who of us will shatter, and who of us will rise?
Hello, everybody, and welcome back. Here we are once again, three witches and a druid, sitting around the table after having a nice little feed of sushi. And we are going to talk today about magical practices in your everyday life. I'm Margo.
And I'm Maeve. Gwen.
And I'm Brian. So as Gwen just suggested, we're going to start sort of from the beginning of the day. And before we started, Maeve was singing a little song. I'd like her to sing.
It's from an old Sesame Street CD. You wake up in the morning, it's 3:45, you just can't wait to get out the door, you brush your teeth. And they go through every hour through the morning, and you brush your teeth.
It was a Sesame Street thing my niece and nephews used to listen to.
So yeah, we're just going to talk about little things that we personally do throughout the day to sort of add a little bit of magic or ritual to our daily lives. Just because we're talking, it doesn't mean we necessarily do it every single day. Some of us might.
I was just thinking I'm going to be very depressed at the end of this because I know I don't do nearly enough. And I'm going to be just sitting here listening to you guys going, oh my God, I'm pathetic.
But there's over the years things you've done.
That's true, it changes. But Margo, you work every day in a flower shop. You're surrounded by magic every minute.
Magical. It is pretty
and her hair's
amazing.
Purple or blue.
And blue.
And blue.
Blue, yeah.
Magenta and blue, I think, maybe.
There is a point where you may overdose on magic.
We do know those people that
Yes,
walk
you do.
too much in that other world, right? We
Well,
do
too
have
much.
those
And
connections.
they wear the selenite necklaces where their mind is up here all the time and they're never down on this
Or,
plane.
you know, those lovely people from our past that you had to occasionally remind them that a glass of beer was not a sandwich.
Yes.
You have to go eat something.
Or having to give a ride to somebody because they drove home, saw this incredible sunset, parked their car, watched the sunset, and then walked home thinking, oh my God, that was magical, and then phoned the police thinking that their car was stolen because they forgot. They were, yeah, so you have to go drive them to go down, pick up their car.
All right, so you've woken up in the morning.
And you brushed your teeth.
And you brush your teeth, of course. So one of the first things I have in our washroom is I have a little stone altar. I think it's 5 stones that they're flat stones and they stack up on each other. And I have this weird OCD thing about them always being stacked. Now I have 6-year-olds that are constantly not stacked. But I stack them up, and that's part of my grounding. And I got this from Jean Drum from ADF, because he had said this. I'm like, I really like that, so I'm going to steal it. And I do a small blessing every morning of water on these stones after I brush my teeth, or while I brush my teeth.
Wow.
Do you find that grounding?
Yes, it's the start of my day every day.
It anchors your day.
Yeah, it anchors my day.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, I am late all the time.
See,
I mean,
you
people-
just got to get a 6-year-old,
Yeah,
and
well,
that
yeah,
won't happen
no, that's
anymore.
way too
We
late
are
for
up.
that.
We are up every single day at 6:30, no matter what we do, no matter what we say. It doesn't. If Saturday, Sunday, doesn't matter. 6:30 comes into our bed, wakes us up. That's the
Yeah.
beginning of our day.
I mean, I remember a friend who used to say, I cannot reconcile your driving style with your personality. I said, my driving style comes from years and years and years and years and years of being late all the time. So, yeah, not a morning person doesn't come close. So maybe I do need...
Okay, so you
To
wake
come
up
up-
at 12 in the afternoon.
Well, no, I have to get up at... Well, if I have to be to work at 9, I
up at 7.
might wake up at 8, be out of the house by 8:30.
All right.
But it's just like I'm up.
Okay, so Magic, when you're driving and you know you're going to be late or be close, do you say anything to yourself? Because I always say, I have more than enough time. I have more than enough time. I
I'm
kind
actually-
of have that chant.
I think in the last few years, I don't stress about it anymore like I used to. Like the whole drive would be like, ah. Now I'm just like, I'll get there when I get there.
Right.
So, but still, I think the idea of grounding and centering yourself to start your day, myself, might be a good addition to my life.
Mm-hmm.
It can't hurt. I'm going to give myself away here. I find how much, I'm using the term ritual or habits or whatever. I'll say ritual, like just not as in like a big magic circle, but just, your daily rituals. I go through is directly dependent on my mood.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the time, because I just have tried, you try to be open to, oh, look, the sun, and I open the window or go outside, and it just sort of automatically comes to me when I am in times of, distress or I feel off kilter. I find I do more
Right.
to bring myself to where I am now. My dog died in March, and I'd had that dog for 16 and a half years, and I'm not going to cry talking about it. I'm going to try. And for several months before then, she was not well, and I was struggling with it because, she's my best friend forever. To get through my days, especially since she's died, I've needed more help. You know what I mean? I think it just depends. Some days it just wakes up and it automatically happens if everything's going good. But if I'm going through a period of, you're sad about something, you're struggling, I have discovered, and I mean, there's many ways to do it. You can breathe, you can rattle, you can just ground, you can do any of those things. But if you're kind of lazy or you're just thinking, I'm going to experiment with this, there are always the 10-minute morning meditations you can find on YouTube. I find them very helpful.
Yep.
Now, I've gone through some and went, no, that didn't do anything for me. And some were great. It's like, look at this.
You just got to find what works for you.
That's right, what
and
works.
Meditation, that's a big thing for me with meditation. I can't listen to just any meditation. If I'm not trying to be sexist, if it's a guy's voice, I can't get into it. Maeve is pointing at me and making angry faces.
I am not. I have tried morning meditations or meditations in general, with the exception of Chris Penzak, who I really do well with his. A lot of the time, if there's a meditation, if it's a man's voice, I am somewhere completely different and I'm not even listening to what they say.
I wonder where you are.
My mind is gone.
Yeah.
It's off somewhere. No, I get that.
You have
So-
years of not listening to the men in your life.
I've
That could be
convinced
it.
Karen to record some meditations, and she's
Nice.
very good at it.
Oh, well, that's really good.
Yeah.
But I do find, I guess I like to go outside and do these things. In winter, you can't. So I started with the meditations in the winter. But I do find for myself, on the mornings when it's not raining or freezing cold in winter, I do like to step outside onto my deck. And I do have one of those little incense holders for the cones.
Yep.
And I do like to light a cone of incense and just, good morning, thank you. Thank you for coming. Please be with me. I do like that. I don't burn it in the house. And for the days I don't burn it in the house, then I often have the
You don't burn
little
incense in your house?
Not too often.
Wow.
I'm too sensitive. I'll do a smudge stick.
I understand. Most of the time, I'm curious what is on fire in our house.
Well, no, if it's something natural, I throw many a herb just on the stove element so it burns up.
Our house is often so full of smoke from incense. It's a little fruity.
No, a lot of the incense bothers me. I wish it didn't.
Yeah.
I've found many scents that I enjoy the fragrance, but then I'm choked up. So I do like to go outside and do that. But I will admit it. It kind of just directly depends on where I'm at. It's like, today I'm not feeling as settled as I should. I better do a little something or my day is not going to be productive at all.
That's fair.
And other days it's like, no, I'm just up. The sun is shining, or maybe it's raining and I'm happy and I had good dreams and good sleep and I'm good to go already.
Right.
That's just me.
What about you, Gwen? How do you start your day? How do you start your magical day?
My magical day, walking my dog normally.
Mm-hmm.
And so the connecting with the outdoors, trying to be present as I'm doing it. And especially if it's a walk before work, because I'll walk my dog for quite a long time if I'm not working. But on a day that I'm actually going into work, it's a really 10-minute walk around the block sort of thing and bring him back. And I'm on the go. But that 10 minutes, I have to be present. I can't be pulling him. I can't be, that's his time to take his time. And so that is really good for me. It slows me down. It makes me connect. It makes me ground. I'm outside. Because so many of us, whether we work from home, we jump in a car, we jump in a bus with a bunch of other people, we're disconnected from the outside. And then we're inside. No matter where I'm working, there's no window. Whether it's the prison or the hospital, the prisons or the hospital, there's no windows. So that time is very, very important to me. When I come back in, say I shower every single morning, and I do magic in the shower. Do you?
Yes, I tend to shower in the middle of the day when no one's. My shower days is in the day because I have people in my house. I tend to do it in the afternoon. But yes, showering usually is a regular cleanse off sort of idea.
Energetically cleanse myself. Watch that.
Yes,
clear through my aura.
Yeah. And the dog thing you say. That is true, because through the winter, it was too cold. My dog was not well enough. And then since I haven't really walked a dog since December, but daily walking the dog is great, especially in the summer. I always walked her in the evening when a little bit in the morning, but we would take a good walk after the sun went down. And that was wonderful because that really winded you down. You were outside in the night. And that was a big ritual for me, walking the dog after dark.
Yeah. Well,
in the summer.
When you were talking about the morning walks, when I was here with Kurt, when he finally let me take him out for a walk, I understand that because I was taking him for a walk for him. So this was his activity. So it was experiencing this activity through his eyes. Rather than, okay, I've got stuff to do, I've got places to go, let's get this done quick. I did find that a very grounding thing to be, you're sniffing what you want to sniff, you're looking at what you want to look at, we're going the direction you want to go, we're stopping when you want to stop. So it pulled me into myself, but took me out of my ego at the same time.
Yeah. And some mornings, not often, because I start work so darn early, but some mornings I will run into other people walking their dogs, and they often have their phones with them and they're scrolling and it's their dog sniffing. And I get it. And sometimes that's the only time you can de-stress or you can check up on the news or whatever. But it's a missed opportunity. It's a missed opportunity to be in that empty space sort of thing where you're just here. When I start, the three of us, I think, were in a group that we developed as a group, a shower routine where as we washed each part of our body, we thanked it.
Yes.
And I did that for literally years. I don't know what stopped. Probably when Dave first went into the hospital and my routines were all out of whack, and I've never gotten back to it. I still have the cardboard thing in the bathroom.
Well, it's all laminated. Yes,
it's laminated as a chant. And as you wash each piece, you thank it and you bless it and you move on to the next piece and that arose out of a recognition as a bunch of, women in this society that, that they can't sell you something if you're happy with yourself. So we were all strangely, upset with our legs or our ears or our this or our that. And it's like, what the heck is that about? So these are feet that take me places. These are
The legs.
these
my
are the legs that
legs.
strengthen, me
Yeah.
and all
My
these different
hands
pieces, my hands that, lift and carry and hold. So recognizing that they do exactly what they were meant to do and thanking them and blessing them. Like I said, I did that for years. That is one thing that took very little bit of time as you washed your body anyway. It was a good recognition of how sacred the body is.
I've got washable markers
Mm.
that I've written on the tile in my shower
Oh, cool.
in different colors for different things. Like today I honor my ingenuity or something. Today I honor my independence. Well, maybe that's not a good one because I'm a little too...
Today,
Little
Today-
independent.
Yeah.
Today I allow myself to ask for help. That's a better
that's
one.
better.
That's a good idea. Never
Yeah,
thought of
yeah.
that.
I
Never
like
thought of that.
Yeah.
That's very nice.
So moving on from the morning, we're now moving into the day. Be it lunch, afternoon, going to work, going about your business. What are some magical things you guys do during your day?
Well, I'm lucky enough to have a job that I go to that I love doing.
That you work with flowers.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I get to make people happy. I get to express my creativity. I get to demonstrate my executive managerial abilities.
Right.
So I understand how blessed I am and how magical it is that I have the job that I have, that I did not expect for a million years to come out of where it came from.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I've developed this over the past, I'd say, 2 to 3 years. I've developed this I stop myself and take notice. When you were saying, your feet take you places, your legs walk you places, your hands. How often do you think about what your hands are doing? That was very interesting. It was going through my head, which made me think of just be present sometimes. It's like, okay. Sometimes, especially if you're, been too much in your own head even. Well, how many things around this room are blue? I will do that. Because getting out more incense or this or that, maybe not necessarily don't necessarily do that too much in the day, but except for in the morning, the incense. But try to be present. Oh, I can look around here. How many things are green? How many things are blue? And think, well, look, that's blue, and I'm lucky to have that. I think gratefulness is something I've been trying to work on. Gratitude for me, because that brings me straight down to where I am.
Mm-hmm.
I find that gratitude thing. So, oh, look, what's white in this room? Oh, my goodness, look at that pretty lampshade over there. Oh, there's a candle. And isn't that nice? And that just kind of brings me to where I am. Rather, and I mean, I know I used to try to do this at noon and this and this. And I've kind of I've kind of flowed out of that. And that's what I do. It's just easy. You take it everywhere you go.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry. You don't even have to sit and try to find a private place, close your eyes and meditate. Because it's like, oh, look at that. Isn't that neat? That's me. There
That's
we
fair.
go.
What about you?
Me? Well, not my businessy job because it's incredibly boring and cubicle-like. I work from home. It's actually a perfectly fine job, but it's not very magical in any way. But when I'm working in the woodshed doing woodworking, I have a little shrine to Lou and Bridget, and I light an incense before I create anything, in
Nice.
hopes of a blessing of whatever I create won't become firewood. So yeah, and it's kind of nice. My wife recently just bought me an incredibly beautiful fancy axe, which I've added to the shrine. But yeah, I usually just light an incense, and while I'm working, I can smell that. And yeah, it's kind of nice. Often, whenever I cut into wood, I don't necessarily ask the wood's permission because it's a little too late for that. Usually, it's pretty processed. But I thank it for what it's done for me and what it's about to become, and we go from there.
Well, that's sort of, being where you are.
Yeah.
Like, look at this, and I have this, and isn't that, thank you.
Yeah, so
It's really
I
great.
think no matter where or what I do in a crafting sense, I'll always have some... It's not a fancy shrine. It's very, very simple. I think currently it's It's an axe with a little porcelain pot full of gravel that I stick an incense in so it doesn't burn everything down.
Being a woodshed.
Yeah, being a woodshed. Yeah, and
That would be bad.
it just I be sure that I light it whenever I go to create something, and I won't lie. There has been times where I've forgotten, and I've made firewood. Yeah, I make a lot of firewood when I forget it. And what about you? You're kind of in a similar boat to me. You sound like your work really allows for a lot of magic.
And I need to be present and to use the left brain, right brain. I have to be very left brain. You know, that metaphor. I have to be very with it. But that doesn't, but I spend my break reading Pathos articles or scrolling The Wild Hunt or reading whatever book I've brought in with me. I spend my breaks reading those sorts of things. But that's my left brain engaging with the material. I may go out for a walk if I'm at the hospital. The other job, not so much. During my lunch break.
It's like lunch breaks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Retail my
you
whole
and
life.
your
It's
small
like,
business.
what's a lunch break?
Yeah.
Well, I could see how on your break that you probably just wouldn't eat your sandwich and stare into space. You probably need that sort of that removal because you often see a lot of, pain or suffering working in a children's hospital and all of that. You see, children who are hurt or sick, or you would need that disconnect for sure. I think that would, to refresh you, I see how that would be.
Yeah, and it's a big group environment. I'm an introvert, and it's a lot of teamwork. And I mean, I am the lowest, I'm the lowest part of the team for sure, but it is still teamwork. And so I do take that break to do something solitary. It's a revolving lunch scale because not everybody can go for lunch at the same time, of course, or anything like a revolving lunchroom sort of thing. And there's different people there all the time. And I always say to people, 12 hours of Gwen is way too much. I need to give you guys a break. But really, yes, I do need to give them a break because 12 hours of Gwen is pretty heavy duty. But I also need that time for myself as an introvert. And if the weather's great, we have a lovely garden for the children and stuff. And I go and sit in the garden and watch the fountain and that type of thing.
I will say the biggest regret with lockdowns going away is everyone working from home. And I can't tell you the amount of times we went to Hemlock Ravine or Shuby Park or Point Pleasant. And I can't do that now because you got to actually work and make a living.
Yes, yes, exactly. But there was a time there to reconnect.
Yeah,
right?
there was a lot. Like there was 2+ years where every single day you made an effort to get out in nature, and now it's a bit of a struggle just because of life.
But during the lockdown, as somebody who gardens. The first year I went to get what I needed to garden at the normal time I, go to get it to garden. Everything's sold out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
People who had never had flowers or grew a few herbs or anything were looking for things to do. And a lot of people had that outdoorsy reconnect.
Like there's always little murmurings and talks of it. Like it would number spike, and it's like, I'll take some more to lockdown there, please. I wouldn't mind being stuck at home for a little bit longer.
Yeah.
So we've talked about the morning, we've talked about today. Let's move into the evening. Not talking bedtime yet, talking evening. What is the things that you guys do in the evening that may bring a little bit of magic to your life?
Eat.
Cooking for me used to be. Now I haven't done that in a very, very long time. And I'm noticing more and more how much I miss it.
For me, it's cooking for other people.
Yeah.
If I'm cooking for myself, I'll just cook a boxcraft dinner. But if I'm cooking for someone else, I love to try to experiment and do things.
That used to be my evening entertainment. When I lived in the South End in a big house with a bunch of roommates, I'd come home from work and cook myself something pretty amazing and fancy. And because we didn't have TV, we didn't have cable.
There's no internet.
There was no, that's true. There was no internet back then. So that was how I entertained myself and the roommates were always like, why are you always cooking these big elaborate meals? It's like, because it's what I like to do.
Yeah.
And I just haven't done it in a very, very long time. And I really miss it.
I remember on Canadian, this is very niche sort of Canadian TV, and it might have been early 70s. There was the Galloping Gourmet.
Oh
my gosh, the Galloping Gourmet.
And so he was, you know, I don't know how I even know this because we weren't allowed to watch TV very much. You know, TV was in the house for hockey games. And after we went to bed, I'm sure my parents turned it on, but not until after we went to bed. But there was the Galloping Gourmet. And I can remember watching reruns when I was out on my own, and that would have been early 80s. I remember watching something, and he said cooking, you know, that you shouldn't just bring that I have to cooking, that it's a magical process and you bring your love, and this is how you feel about your families. You're preparing meals for others. Very much what Brian was saying. If you can bring that to any part, and we've done magical housework and housekeeping and that sort of thing, but especially in the kitchen, it brings so much joy. And something that's made with resentment as opposed to something that's made with love and the wanting to share and everything, that's magic. People can taste the difference. The food is healthier. It
It's the
wonderful.
energy you put into it.
It's the energy you put into it.
It's the energy you put into it. And, you know, Dr. Emoto there proved your thoughts and your, you know, and all of that can, you know, and your words can affect what you're doing.
Yeah.
You know, witching in the kitchen.
Exactly.
Witching in the kitchen.
So along those lines, I don't know if you two still have, but at one point we all kind of worked on kitchen altars. And I have a little altar over my hearth, over my stove.
I think Michelle actually gave me the little shelf itself. But yeah, it's over my stove with some important pieces of things on it. And
I have Baker Smurf. Back when the Smurfs were a hot deal back in the 80s when they first came out, somebody got my mom the little figurine, you know, little plastic figurine of Baker Smurf, and it was in the kitchen. And I was somewhere, I don't know, one of these little, you know, secondhand places, and there was a newer version of Baker Smurf. And I said, I have to have Baker Smurf. So I do have Baker Smurf, and I have the egg timer that was in my grandmother's kitchen.
Nice.
And of course, we got to have a rock. You got to have a rock of some sort. Yes, and I have turtle with it's made of marble. It's very heavy. A girl who came from Ecuador once, because the turtle is the national animal of Ecuador. And it's a turtle with a baby turtle on the top. And it's all these little things are on top of my stove. So I don't have tons of room to have like a proper altar. But this is kind of like an altar.
Well, this is the
my mother,
shelf
my
is
grandmother,
smaller than what would be on top of your stove, but it's not.
I have those things in that nice blue fluoride rock.
Nice.
Whatever. But the Baker Smurf, that's part of it. Baker Smurf.
I would always light the candle on my altar when I was cooking for others, but not so much when I was cooking for myself. And I think it's probably, you know, it may be a good routine to get into, that you light that candle, you make that sacred space, that sacred.
So we in our home have a large family altar. We say family altar because there are still some living individuals on the altar, as well as the ones who've passed on. But we light the candle on the altar, usually at dinner.
Oh,
at dinner.
Now,
nice.
I never thought of that because there is a candle in a candle holder, like, you know, like a tea light sort of candle on my stove, but it's only there for when the power goes out.
That's going to be the altar to the Nova Scotia Power Corporation to maybe bring it back someday.
But no, you know what? Maybe that's a good idea. Maybe I'll start lighting that because it's now gotten to the point where a lot of the time I'm not necessarily cooking because my child works a lot of, you know, goes to work at 3 or 4, doesn't come home till later, and I might cook the meal, but I cook for others, which is part of my job.
Yeah.
Cooking for others. And sometimes when you think, I have been, you've given me a lot to think about, Gwen, because I do see it sometimes as, really need to not do that as much. Because, you know, a lot of times, I'm cooking for friends, my family is here, whatever, but some nights it's like,
it's just another job.
It is just another, because it is technically part of my job description to cook and all of that. It's like, oh, but I'm going to change my attitude. I'm much happier cooking when I'm having a party or something.
Yeah.
Or friends over. Then I like the cooking.
So in our household, we are very spoiled with an incredibly large tub. And so we every night have a bath, our family.
Every night.
Every night. We are very much you have a bath to relax.
Yeah.
Baths are not to clean yourself. Baths are to relax. Showers to
true
clean
enough.
yourself. So we usually pour a big boiling hot tub of water, and either the three of us get in, or Karen will get in first, and me and Atticus will get in, and I'll stay in afterwards. But that's sort of our time to sort of
That's nice.
disconnect, decompress.
Yeah.
Usually after bath, there's no more cell phone, there's no more social media, no more news.
Yeah.
I'll look at Pinterest and look for inspiration or something, but yeah, I'll disconnect from the world outside.
Now, I did for years and years and years had a bath at night. But once I started having extra people living in my house, a lot of them like to shower in the evening, and you have a hot water tank.
Yeah.
And by the time there would be enough water refilled into the hot water tank, it's 11 and I'm not getting in my bathtub. So I sort of got out of that habit.
Right.
But I did used to for years. I bathed every night, which is a wonderful way to chill out.
Yeah. So now, moving into bedtime. Everyone's going to bed. Is there anything you guys do just before lights are out?
I usually send up a little prayer, for, thank you for my day. This was great. Maybe this could be different tomorrow. But you know what I do? It's either crickets or peepers, depending on the time of year.
I heard peepers.
Yes, I've heard them.
Thursday night for the first time.
Yeah, they've just come out here, but if I'm with peeper season, to leave my bedroom window open, it gets too cold to hear them.
Right
you know
now,
what I mean?
give it
right
a month.
now, give it a month, yeah.
My patio door is wide open with a fan on.
Apartments are so much warmer. Apartments are a lot warmer. But no, I won't lie. I've got the 9-hour thing. Plug it in beside my bed, on the YouTube.
Yeah.
The 9-hour long YouTube thing of peepers, and other times of year it's crickets.
There was a really long time where I listened to like nighttime sounds, like through my headphones.
I used to listen to humpback whales singing and Leonard Nimoy reading poetry.
If that doesn't put you to sleep, nothing will.
That I do. Or once in a while, I'll put on the clean your chakras while you sleep. A lot of the time, I think I got into doing that quite a few years ago because I'd wake up in the night, after my divorce. It was very distracted because there was nobody else on the other side of the bed. So I would put that on. It's like, oh, and here it is. And it's January and you're listening to crickets and you're pretending you're camping. And that calms me down. It soothes me because you think of, camping, or I don't listen to anything involving water.
See, and I do because
you have to go.
And I picture when I can't fall asleep and I'm restless and I've since learned to close my eyes.
I was gonna say something.
That's astonishing, Margo. That's awesome.
I just thought you waited to fall asleep.
You close your eyes.
Obviously, I'm not the only one because somebody else on the internet is the one who said it. And I went, wait a minute.
I find the sounds though. You're just settling down, and then this menopause business starts, and you're waking up with the sweats, and you're laying there, and you can't get back to sleep, and that's why I used to just maybe put it on so it would only be on for a half hour and I fall asleep. Now I make sure it's the whole 9 hours in case I wake up in the night.
But
I do like that.
When the wind is really bad and I can't sleep, I shift in my head so that sound is actually waves.
Okay.
And so then I'm on like a hanging platform bed under a palm tree on the beach.
Oh, that's
waves
very nice.
are lapping on the ground.
Nice. Now,
and we're just
a lot of
slowly, and that helps a lot.
Nice.
A lot of
yeah. A lot of people do not find the wind. They don't like it when it's windy.
Mm-hmm.
They find it very unnerving. A lot of people don't care for it. They don't like it.
Shift it into wave sounds.
I'm a weirdo. I love that. I love the energy
wind.
of a good storm.
I love, if I could...
Now, at the same time, I don't own a house, so I'm less stressed about sex.
No, but in general, because Halifax is a very windy place.
Yes.
It's right on the ocean, and my street is a wind tunnel. And no, I like the wind. A lot of people find that it makes them aggravated. Not me. No, I like the wind.
Well, weather affects everybody so differently. Like, I love it. I want to put on my big old fishing sweater, stand outside with a hot coffee, and complain about the weather all day. Just out my own porch.
Like a
talking to
grumpy old
myself.
man.
Yeah, I get like a grumpy old man, but like in a good way.
That's great sleeping in a tent weather, but other than that, I want a hot whiskey. Thank you. If I have to be hot coffee, nothing. If I'm going to be out in the rain.
So we talked about our daily lives and magic in our day. What are some things? Is there anything outside of your daily life that you do to bring some magic into your life? Be it over the week, be it a month, year.
Well, I was thinking I can't say morning or night because I work a revolving schedule. I work, 12-hour shifts, days, nights, everything. But I do draw tarot cards every day.
Yeah.
I do a divinatory practice every day. We'll do specific prayers, but maybe one day it's first thing in the morning and another day it's last thing at night. I have a gratitude practice and a qigong practice and that sort of thing. But I can't pin down when that's going to be.
No. But so another thing is recently we had to trim a few branches off of a tree in our backyard. The tree was planted for our wedding. And I asked the tree before I did it. I'm just going to go in there and butcher it. But yeah, so like I asked the tree if it was okay if I did this. I felt a connection and got an approval and it was done.
And are those branches useful for anything?
Oh yeah, they're 100% in my shed drying right now.
Yes.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah, nothing. That's not going to waste.
And if you had to cut it because it needed pruning?
Well, just the way certain branches were growing out. One was growing out potentially over the house, and another one was blocking a walkway.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Because a lot of the time, if you're pruning something, it's like I'm gonna, you're pruning a bush or whatever. It's like I'm gonna prune you here, but you're gonna feel better.
Yeah. Well,
But
yeah. The goal here is to provide more upper
Yes,
strength.
you're gonna feel better when you do it.
I was going to say gardening.
Yeah.
I think that's a full-on episode, but definitely gardening, right?
Yeah.
It
Mhm.
brings a lot of magic in it, and it increases that connection.
Yes, I have found great pleasure and fulfillment vegetable gardening.
Mm-hmm.
I'm bad with flowers.
Mm-hmm.
If it comes up every year and it just blooms on its own like a hosta or a lilac, I'm okay.
Yeah. That's
Not
insane.
grant or anything you put in the ground that just comes up and you only have to keep the soil all right. I'm good at that, but no,
Yeah.
I find great pleasure there. I also find, because I always like to have a little something on the go, like a little learning project.
Yeah.
And I find, a topic, I'm going to be just read about it a little bit every day.
Yeah.
I really find that really helpful just in my mind, in my magic life. I really find that fulfilling.
Right.
Maybe I'm going to be reading for the next, week or two, little bits about, I had a book I went through on which crystals were for which chakras. Just something new or refreshers, right now, the Huber astrology thing. I like to have a research sort of learning thing going on all the time. That's a biggie for me. Not that I mind, not that I don't love brainlessly watching Star Wars over and over, different Star Wars shows over and over again. How many times have you seen The Mandalorian, Brian?
We got a new kitten this weekend, and I told her it was named Binks, and she's like, "Is that Jar Jar Binks?" I'm like, "Oh my god!" No,
I
it's
wouldn't
not
do
Jar
that.
Jar Binks.
Not that I'm a Jar Jar person, but we've all seen. How many times have you seen The Mandalorian?
Oh,
Seriously,
yeah.
But I do like something new, something
Right.
interesting.
Yeah.
To read. All right. Well, it has been great us all sitting here sharing ideas, and I've gotten a few ideas. Thank you very
Me
much.
as well.
I really enjoyed
So you
that.
feel more you're going to go home and be
Yes,
more
Be
magical.
more magical.
For a day or two at least.
I thought when we were going into this episode, like you had said, like, I'm not going to have much to say. It's like, oh, fucking pegging as fuck over here.
It's
And
wonderful.
then I thought about too, actually, as you know, the wind up was happening about all my colorful clothing.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's my magic.
Yeah.
I was doing my laundry. It was about 2 weeks ago and I was hanging it out and I looked and I guess I never paid attention to it, but all of my clothes are blue, orange, or pink. Look at that. All my clothes are orange, a lighter shade of pink and lighter blue. Look, I guess it is too. I like a lot of bright color too. I get that. Again, thank you very much for tuning in. We'll be looking forward to talking with each other and with you next time. And we really appreciate all of you tuning in. And we're very, very grateful that people are listening so that we have this opportunity to get together. It's a wonderful experience here and lots of learning and sharing. And it's really, really great. And if you'd like to send us any messages, you can get through to us on our Facebook page. If you have any suggestions or questions, we're always happy to hear from you.
Three Witches and a Druid podcast would like to take a moment to thank our amazing Patreon supporters. Today, we shout out to Danny, Tania, Sarah, Lore, Kay, Linda, Jennifer, Highland Horde, and Larry. Without your generous support and contributions, we couldn't bring you this magical content, and we thank you for listening.
And until next time, everybody, merry meet,
Merry heart.
and merry meet again.
Blessed
be.
This has been Three Witches and a Druid podcast. Thanks for listening.